3 more days until history's gonna be made, guys. Let's get it. Roll the intro music.
Welcome back to episode 8 of A.K.A. Wow, that just sounds... I don't know. Something about that. It's just like, wow.
What?
It
Episode
rings
8?
a bell.
Yeah, I don't know. It just like gives me nostalgia, you know?
It's
We've been doing
weird how
this-
it's already been... Yeah, it's weird how it's already been like 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just... It's kind of nuts.
That's mathematics, what, 2 months?
I hate math. Let's
Is
not
that
do
right?
math, okay?
Is
I
that
think
right?
so. Close enough.
Yeah, something. It's right.
Yeah,
No, it
it's
is 2
around
months.
there.
4 weeks each month. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, good job, Amelia. Yeah, I'm
Thanks,
very proud of
guys.
you. No, I'm very proud
Thanks.
of you. Today's episode's about relationships, because I feel like everyone goes through relationships. No, not I feel, I know everyone goes through relationships, especially when you're in high school, which is what we're in right now. I mean, you're gonna have a relationship either in high school or out of high school.
Like
It's
even,
bound to happen.
even if it's like a boyfriend and girlfriend type thing, or just like relationships with like friends, friendships. Like
Yeah.
everyone goes through that in high school and like when we're younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today is mainly gonna be about all types of relationships, but besides the friendships ones, because we've already talked about friendships in prior episodes,
Yeah.
and we wanted to just get a little more specific. So in high school, you might not actually have a relationship, and that's completely fine. You don't need to have a relationship. Relationships aren't necessary. They're just a kind of a side thing. You know, you're more important. You gotta make sure you're happy with yourself before you even try to worry about someone else.
I feel
So-
like that's something people definitely think about during high school, that they feel like they're pressured into being into a relationship because everyone else is in one. You know, like there's such, I don't want to say like a pressure on like kids our age to be in a relationship, but there's definitely like this sort of how do I explain it?
I'd say
pull
it's a
towards
pressure.
it.
Yeah, I'd say it's a little bit
Yeah,
of a pressure.
there's like a
It's
pull
it's not
towards it.
there, but it's like an unintentional pressure. Like it's there, but
Yeah,
it's not really there.
because everybody wants to experience that high school love that all the adults talk about, or that high school romance that the movies show. And people just want to have that kind of relationship when it's not really necessary. Because if you rush into a relationship when you're not ready, it doesn't often work out well. And it's better to have a good, long lasting relationship. And even if it doesn't end with you guys being together, it's better to reflect on it with good memories than look back at it and cry, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely important to know when you're ready to go into a relationship rather than going into one head first without knowing anything.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think you're ready for a relationship and you want to be in a relationship, you always have to know if the person that you want to be with is right for you. You don't want to be with someone that's going to make you depressed or sad. You want to make sure that when you're around them, that you feel happy, that you are the best version of yourself. They're not downgrading you or they're not making you into a bad person, because you don't want that to happen. You want to build yourself up.
Yeah.
Put it there.
Oh no, I get that. There's definitely like ways to tell if someone's right for you. And like personally, okay, I'm gonna speak on like my behalf.
Oh,
I
yeah.
I know when like someone is right for me when I just find myself thinking about them 24/7. Like I'll just be like I'll just I'll just be I'll just be doing
Aw.
things and like they're in the back of my head, and I'm just like wanting to talk to them more and more and more. And like I that's how I know that I finally found someone. Like I think I've spoken about it before, but I got out of a relationship in like August, right? And like I was like, I'm never getting back into a relationship. It's
Yeah.
never gonna happen. I hate it. I hate relationships. And like I was wrong. I was wrong. Like I think it's more or less of like when you get out of a relationship like that, you're gonna have that negative mentality, but just wait it out, because then you'll find yourself in like the position of like thinking about them 24/7 and always wanting to talk to them and waiting for that message from them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have that lingering, like you want them to come back even though they're not right for you.
Yeah.
On my part, I've also kind of felt that as well. And it was there, like, every time, like, you got an MSG from them or you got, like, some sort of notification from them, like, you kinda felt this weird tingly sensation. You're just like, "Oh my god," like, "Oh, look at that. Oh my god." You know what I mean?
It's like
And
butterflies in your stomach.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
exactly, yeah.
when you get that Snapchat and you're just like, "Oh my god,
Bro,
you know?
look at Shawty,
No, I do that all the time. Like Kaylee knows that when I'm happy or I get super excited over someone messaging me, I put my hand over my mouth and I just go,
ah!
"Ah!
Yeah,
Ah!" That's like my
yeah.
form of like showing my happiness.
And then
And
she goes
that's how
back
I
to straight face, you go back to
yeah.
straight face,
No, I
and you're
go
like,
from screaming to like, "Oh, okay." But like that's like that Kaylee has witnessed me like opening messages from people
yeah.
that I'm like super excited to hear from or a specific person. And like I'm just oh my god, it's just you get these like butterflies and this like super big smile that just doesn't go away. And it's just like that's how you know that you found the right person, you know?
Well, yeah, I don't think necessarily that you know that's the right person, but that maybe there's a future with them, you know what I mean? They might not be the right one, but, you should never be afraid to take risks and try something new because who knows, they may be your forever someone, or they may be your someone for a good while, maybe not forever, but a little while, you know?
When you're in a relationship, you have to make sure that you're happy and they're happy. It's kind of like a balance because when you're happy, you can make them happy. Giving your all in a relationship is really important as well. Don't be just that person who ignores your significant other because that's not
Oh,
how
yeah.
relationships work. A relationship is not like a one man show. You have to be there for each other. You have to support each other and you have to love each other, essentially, because 'cause you're in a relationship.
Yeah, building off of what Alyssa said, how she was saying that when you're happy, they're happy. Like, if in my case, or like from personal experience, you know that like when they do something and they start laughing or they get super excited over something and it just makes you smile. You know
Yeah.
that feeling? It's like that's again, I've said this so many times, but that's another thing that you know that like you sort of you're sort of on the right track with this person. That when they're getting excited over a little thing or they're happy about like a game they're playing, you get super happy for them.
Yeah, it's like it's a mutual kinda thing. It's just it kinda just happens, you don't even know it's happening until you're smiling and laughing and having a jolly good old time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that kinda just shows that's one part of it, but there's also, like, if they're there for you, then that's awesome. Because you wanna have someone who's gonna be right beside you no matter what happens, no matter how severe a situation is or how dangerous it is, you want them to be right there because they should have your back as you have theirs. It shouldn't be, like Alyssa said, a one-man show. In order for the show to continue, sometimes you need, your side characters to lead the main show. Like, you need those people to be there for you, and if that one person's there for you, then you're pretty much set. Like, you found a good person, and you shouldn't I wouldn't say give up that person, but if they're there for you, I would be there for them.
That's really important. That if they have your back, you have to have theirs. And if you don't, then something's not right. Because
Something's not right with that show.
a lot of people think that like when we say that it has to be a two-way thing, that we're specifically talking about the person you're interested in, but you also have to think about yourself and reflect on what you're doing. Because if you're the person that's not thinking about them as much as they're thinking about you, then are you sure that you want to be in a relationship? Like, like if you don't think you like them as much as they like you, maybe rethink what you're doing so no one gets hurt.
Yeah, if they also have the same interests as you, then you guys have a lot of stuff to talk about. You have a good majority of things to talk about, and I think that's really cool because then you're never ever really bored with that person. You're always doing fun things with them. Maybe not always doing them with them, but you're also just talking about just awesome things. And you also need to know, like, not even just talking with them, or even if you're just like kind of watching them at a distance, there it could be kind of a two-way thing. This is before you even know if they're right for you, you know what I mean? You have to figure out if the person you like is either a crush or it's an infatuation. And Essentially, you might not know until you really think about it, but sometimes when you think you like someone, you really don't. You just like the idea of being with them. And I'd call that more of an infatuation because it's just you kind of like them for the physical attributes of it. And it's kind of like with a celebrity. You're like, "Oh damn, that celebrity is like really good looking." I totally date that celebrity. But you don't really know that celebrity and you never will know them and it nothing's going to happen there. But a crush is where you love that person's personality and their physical traits as well as everything else about them, and it's essentially an infatuation to a higher level where it goes on for a long time. And, as time increases, your feelings increase for that person and you just don't want to stop talking with them. You want to keep talking with them about crazy interests or crazy topics. It doesn't even matter anymore about what you're talking about as long as you're happy with that person. And infatuation is kind of a short lived thing where it's more or less, I'm going to like you for like 2 days and then I'm going to pick a new celebrity or something like that. Like, yeah, you seem like a really cool person, but I'm gonna swipe you to the left.
Mhm.
But we all have to remember that all relationships aren't always sparkle and butterflies and rainbows and stuff.
Yeah, that's very important to know. Some relationships may seem really nice at first, like the partner may be loving and caring and they're the perfect person, but sooner or later they'll like show off their true colors, you know, and they'll just show how toxic they are. And this is going to be leading into a really big topic about toxic relationships that I wanted to like give a slight warning before we talk about, because we are going to be talking about like signs of toxic people, toxic relationships, and all that stuff. It's just, I wanted to get it out there before, just in case, you never know, that type of thing. But toxic relationships are mentally draining and they break your self esteem. They take away your happiness and it makes it very hard to like gather yourself back up and see others in a potential relationship with yourself. It's once you get out of a toxic relationship, it's really hard to go back to normal, like extremely difficult. And it takes time, but it is something you're going to have to recover from.
Everything takes time, not just relationships, and time is really just a self healer. That's just one healing mechanism. Besides knowing if you have a toxic relationship before you even get into the relationship, or even if you're in one now, how do you know if that person is toxic themselves? And I feel like that's something that a lot of people don't realize because it's very tricky to figure out. And they can get very jealous very easily, is one insight. And sometimes they don't fully trust you. Like, they'll go behind your back and they'll try to figure out what you're doing, or they are constantly texting you. Because, I mean, people need space. Like, I know if I was in a relationship, I'd want to my personal bubble to not be popped like every few seconds. I don't want to keep reblowing that bubble. I kind of just want it to stay there and you keep your bubble. You know what I mean? Everyone's happy. They also might try to change who you really are. And I'm essentially saying manipulate you. And manipulation is really hard to figure out depending on who the person is. Because some people are really tricky with that stuff.
I think manipulation is a big sign of toxic person, whether in a relationship or not. If you're being manipulated by people, they're toxic. And that's period. You don't want to be around them because they can change you. You don't want that. You want to be healthy, you want to be happy for yourself. But during a relationship, if you ever need like comfort, support from your significant other and they're not there for you, then that's just a sign that you should just end the relationship. They're not.
They don't have your back.
Yeah, they
I
don't.
mean,
Yeah, that's also really important. Like we said earlier, um, when we were talking about how to know if a person is right for you, we were saying that if they're always there for you and you're there for them, that's a sign of knowing that you're on the right track. But if someone doesn't have your back and you can't trust them with stuff like that, that you're always like, "Oh, are they actually going to do what I asked them to do? Or are they just going to ignore it?" If you have to think about like that about certain things, then something is wrong. And like there are other things, like not only them not trusting or you not trusting them, but them not trusting you. And another big thing is them guilt tripping you. Like, I'm trying to think of an example of guilt tripping, like off the top of my head. But like if they make a mistake and they blame it on you, like they turn you into the bad guy and they play the victim. That is such a big sign of a
That
toxic
it's
relationship,
the
a toxic
lowest of the
person
low.
actually.
The lowest of
Yeah.
the low, literally. Because
Where
if they
they
were at
mess
fault
up.
for it,
Yeah.
exactly, they are at fault for it and they're blaming it on you, something is totally off the pages there. Like you're getting yourself deeper into a hole if you stay with them. That's the way I think about it because it doesn't make any sense as to why they're not realizing the mistakes that they've done. And even if they do break up with you, right? Or you break up with them because you realize what they're doing, they're still gonna want to try to get you back because of that manipulation thing. If they do that, because essentially a guilt trip is like a sort of manipulation, they're gonna want to try to get you back, and they might say all these sorts of things. And I've seen it so many times, even with my own self, where they say they're gonna change or they say they're gonna do something different, and they won't ever do that again. And eventually they do. You know, they don't actually change because they're just gonna shift the story and make you the victim once again.
They can also be overly defensive when they think they're in the right in certain arguments. Like if they're arguing with you and you know you're right, but they get super defensive over their opinion, that's that's a clear sign that something's wrong because if they can't accept the fact that they're wrong, then they're not going to accept anything you tell them. They're not going to listen to you because it's a sign that they're not listening to you, which isn't good.
Upon not accepting that they're wrong and that they're normally right, which is obviously not true as we've already talked about, they could be super judgmental, not only to their friends but to you. They could be judging you on what you do, who you talk with, why you're talking to them. If they think you're trying to get with someone else but they don't know the full story, or they see you hanging out with certain friends and not with them, they can get super weird and they're going to change into a whole different person. With the starting arguments and the judging and the defensiveness, they might also never apologize, which is something you have to take into account is that they might never apologize. And that's not good because if they can't own up to their own selfish reasonings or selfish actions, then they're just not the one.
If they constantly start arguments during the relationship and it takes maybe a few weeks, few days for them to apologize, don't take them back because if their pride gets over their, I guess, like love for you or over the relationship, you already know that what matters most to them is themselves and they don't want to be in their relationship anymore. They don't care about you because they don't have the guts to apologize to you for what they did. And if you are in an argument with your partner, maybe be the bigger man and, start the apology. It's always good to make up with your partner if you do get into an argument.
You might also not be the one. You don't always need to be the one to apologize first. If you know that that person truly is at fault, then they should be the one apologizing. Like, why the hell should I apologize for something that I absolutely did nothing and I had no control over? That makes no sense to me. And the way you know you have a healthy relationship essentially is you guys love talking about the same things. You love just bonding over everything. And if something is wrong, you both can talk about it in a peaceful manner. Because literally screaming and yelling with everything, and I know it's super hard to do because your emotions just come out randomly, it never helps the situation. Saying something louder than the other person totally defeats the purpose of even trying to make up at the end. Because to tell you the truth, what were you guys even arguing about in the first place if you can't hear each other anymore? Like I could be saying random words like dog, 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 and you wouldn't notice a change literally at all.
So now we're going to get into some signs of toxic relationships that will help you pick them up rather than noticing too late so you're not stuck in one. First, I want to say that you have to pick up when they talk about you, either to you or your friends, when they are talking about you, what they say. Because in a healthy relationship, they'll talk about things that you love about your partner or the other person. Like if something is wrong, you can confront them about it and you can talk to them and like you can just mainly boost that person. You're not talking them down, you're not negatively giving them like backhanded compliments. You're just helping them. You're helping them grow. In a toxic relationship, the only thing you talk about are the other person's flaws rather than what's good about them and just all the bad stuff. Like if you make a small mistake in a toxic relationship, that person will bring it up for ages. They'll always say like, "Oh, but do you remember when you did this? Oh, do you remember when this happened?" Even if it could be like dropping a glass, they'll bring it up forever. And that's, you can pick that up because you'll notice that once it's a few weeks later and they're still bringing up such a small thing, maybe they might be toxic. And I'm sure it's not only going to be this one sign. There's going to be many other things you'll notice.
Such as being able to count on them. Like we said before, they have to be there for you, you have to be there for them. And if they ask you something or they ask you to do something, you have to know that you can do it for them and that you can get it done for them. If they ask you to do something for them or to be there for them, you have to know that you can do this and that you can be that person that'll support them no matter what. But when you're in a toxic relationship, you never know exactly what they'll do to you or what they'll do in their relationship. And it's always kind of like 50-50 because your significant other is kind of like sneaky. They're like kind of like a detective, not a detective, but like they're away from you and you don't know exactly what they're doing. Not saying that you have to like stalk them 24/7. If you think they're doing bad things, then that gives you a sign that um you don't know them that well, and that's kind of a bad sign of of a relationship. But you can also get into like these little arguments. As I said before, if you get into these arguments constantly and you can't agree on anything and never apologize, where's this relationship going to go? Where's our growth? But if you're in a healthy relationship, you can consider each other's ideas and agree and disagree on certain things. You have to learn to grow on each other and to say, okay, we'll do this one time and we'll do what you want the next time.
Yeah, there's a mutual understanding, and everyone has their own time with each other. And I also think that you also have your personal time too. That's important as well because even though you're together and you're growing together, you can also grow individually. No one's stopping you from being your best self, and that person shouldn't be the one to stop you. They both have to understand that at times the other person needs their alone time. They need that bubble, like I said before. They can hang out with their friends. They can, I don't know, play Minecraft, put out there, but they could do like stupid things like that and just kind of their own time. Where in some cases, some people just don't want to let go of each other. They're literally like glue and they don't want to kind of just have their own time. And that can really deteriorate yourself. That can make you have this kind of separation anxiety where you don't want to let go of that person. And when there's a time where you need to, it's going to be super hard. And sometimes there's situations where you have to do it alone. You have to walk it alone, but you can't because you're stuck on that glue. And being able to be comfortable with that other person is also super important. If you can discuss absolutely anything with one another, then that's pretty good. I think that's if I'm gonna say an embarrassing story, if it's to you and you're vibing with it and I'm okay sharing it with you, then I'm really gonna hard vibe there, I'm gonna vibe so hard. And just certain things like that where I can talk to you about anything and you're always open with it or just stupid random ideas because we all have stupid ideas and we can just back off of each other and figure out what the best idea is. And so if you could do that with a relationship, that's pretty sweet. If you're hiding stuff from one another though, I'm not talking about physically, either mentally, where there's secrets and there's not really
There's like
communication.
barriers between the
Yeah,
two.
yeah, yeah. There's barriers, there's walls. And you don't want to break that down to kind of connect with your significant other or your partner, then that trust factor is being really broken down. Just like that wall that you want to break down, but you're not breaking down. Rather, you're building it up.
And I think after we talked about all these signs of a toxic relationship, we should talk about how to get out of a toxic relationship. As I stated before we even started talking about the signs, it's really difficult to get out of a toxic relationship. Whether you're in danger or it's just difficult because they're controlling and you're scared to speak up, the most important thing to do is to look for people that you can trust to help you. Look for your closest friends, your family, if you're high school students like us, teachers that you know can help get you out of this relationship. Because it's very hard to go through alone, especially if they're this controlling. And as hard as it is, you have to be verbal to the person. You have to tell them that, listen, I'm not comfortable. I don't think we should be together. And this might escalate the situation. And if you don't feel comfortable saying that, don't. But it's very important to express your feelings to them because maybe they're just not aware that they're harming you. And if you say something, maybe it can be brought to their attention. But if you bring it to their attention and they keep going, then that's when you need to seek help from other people.
Yeah, because your friends are always there to support you no matter what. And if you need advice from your friends, it's okay to ask them. Like I've asked advice, not even just for relationships, but with random things to you guys, Amelia and Alyssa.
Mhm.
And I've literally it's literally like a bomb went off in my head and I was like, damn, I didn't think of that. Because everyone thinks differently.
Mhm.
And sometimes a different perspective is always the best perspective.
Mhm. And after ending this toxic relationship, you don't want to be have negative thoughts. You want to surround yourself with positivity. And if that's talking to your friends, having alone time, do what you have to heal and to take time to, yeah, just heal from this toxic relationship, heal yourself. It's all about you in the end and how you take care of yourself after this relationship.
It's really important to just surround yourself with positivity, people that make you happy, things that make you happy. Like it could be even little things. If you want to eat a tub of ice cream after a toxic relationship, go for it. Who cares?
Damn right. No one cares. Do it.
Just if you're happy, then that's what matters because that relationship must have been draining, exhausting. If ice cream makes you happy, then it makes you happy. Like I'm not one to judge, you know. I remember like when I went through my breakup, I don't know if you guys remember, but literally all I did was play Minecraft and Osu. That's it.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
sat in my room and played Minecraft and Osu. And I'd go from like my bed to my computer to my bed to my computer. And that's all I did.
But that
And
helped
that's
you in the end.
it did. It really did because then like I got into like a friend group and I made more friends and I just built myself up from there. And now I'm happy where I am. Like I'm very happy in the state I am right now.
Yeah, everyone has their own different
Because
type
she has
of
us.
therapy.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, hey.
We all know what you're thinking there.
Yeah. But
No.
we just spoke about getting out of a toxic relationship, but I think we should also shed some light on getting out of a normal relationship because even though that is hard, it is slightly easier than getting out of a toxic relationship because, as I said, it can be quite dangerous to say to get out of a toxic relationship. So, when getting out of a regular relationship, just take time from one another. I know it's gonna be hard to try not to message them and try not to call them the day after. I know how difficult it is because I was in that position and I messed up and did it. And it just made everything so much harder. I listen to me when I tell you this. If you don't call them the day after and you let a few days pass, in a week you will feel better. That is, I can promise you that you will slowly start feeling better. You just need to give it time. You need to give it time for like to reflect on yourself, for yourself to become happier and to build yourself up again. Because breakups hurt. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. They hurt. They're a pain in the ass to go through, and it sucks when you have to, but in the end, you will be a much happier person. That's why you just have to take time for yourself. They need to take time for themselves to reevaluate their situation because they just lost a bad bitch. Sorry.
Damn right, damn right. Yeah,
No.
speak, sister, do.
But you need to build yourself up, listen to some music, play some video games, eat some ice cream, whatever you want to do. Just get yourself happy again.
Exactly. And even if it's surrounding yourself with people that you love and that bring that positivity to you, then damn right do that. I mean, it's gonna be like Amelia said, it's gonna be a hassle to not want to go back to them. But you literally need a literal break from them. If you talk to each other right after, it's gonna be so much harder to get out of that that separation right there. And you're gonna be like, "Oh, let's be friends," let's still be friends. Yeah, well, that's not gonna be the same until you take a little break. And after that break, then maybe think about just being friends, which is gonna be super hard. But some people do prefer just the friend side, and they can become friends after a relationship. but it's more or less not likely. But if it happens, it
Good
happens,
for
and as long
you.
yeah, exactly, and if you're happy with that situation right there, then you're happy, and you're the most important. You have to remember that always. With anything
Mhm.
that you ever go through, you come first, and everyone
Yeah.
else
Mhm.
follows.
Do what you want in life because as long as it makes you happy, then that's good.
We
And take
want
We
care
that.
of
we
yourself.
all want
But we
yeah,
want you to be happy.
But I think I we kind of shed light on this a few seconds ago, but I just want to tell a quick story about it. Surrounding yourself with people that you know have your back. Like after you get out of a breakup, Kaylee, I'm not sure if you remember this, but after I got out of my breakup, I I went to Kaylee's house for a sleepover because I knew that Kaylee would have my back and I knew Kaylee would be on my side. And I don't know if she remembers what we did that night, but I got to her house, I put on comfy clothes. I think we swam in her pool. I believe so. And we
you
just like
probably did.
reminisced. We reminisced on our childhood, but I remember building a fort. And that
Yes,
made me
you
so
did.
much happier.
And
Like,
you brought fuzzy socks, I think,
yes,
too.
I brought us magic
Yeah,
fuzzy
that's fuzzy
socks.
socks,
We
let's
made
go.
food at 1 a.m. We made 3 playlists that night. We just listened to music, talked all night, cuddled your dogs. And it's like little moments like those that make you happy. Cause I know Kaylee has my back, and I knew if I texted Alyssa, she would also have my back.
I would be like, get over him. I'm just kidding. I'll be here for you, Amelia, no matter what. It's
You
all
would
about
still scream at her. You would still scream at her. Don't
Yeah,
even lie to yourself.
you would totally scream at me. Get over him. Wasn't that important? One time thing. Okay, girl, just you know what? Block him right now. Get him out of your life. And
I'd be
honestly,
like, drop him.
Yeah,
drop
drop
it.
him, drop
With the right
him.
stuff yelling, I think Alyssa might have convinced me to.
She probably would. Alyssa is a very convincing when she's, like,
When
determined.
she's like yelling,
Yeah,
Alyssa knows how to get her point across. To sum it all up, it's very important to take care of yourself because to you, your happiness is what is of most importance. You have to take care of yourself and build yourself up before you can make others happy again. And I think that's a good message for the whole video, the whole podcast.
That's right. Okay.
Just take care of yourself. Be happy, be yourself, do what makes you happy, surround yourself with positivity, and just be a good person. That's what matters. Period.
be you.
Be
Be
you.
If you want to support us, you should follow our socials. Our website is akapodcast.carrd.co. There you can join our Discord and sign up for our email. Our Instagram is A.K.A. Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at a.k.a. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.